Hello students, this week we're going to begin with Unit 6, Week 1 of Wonders. The three stories that we're going to be reading about are The Fortunes of Fragrance, The Story of Salt, and The Not So Golden Touch. I want you to think about those three stories because I want you to infer what you think they're going to be or predict what you think those three stories will be about. Okay? Great. Hello students. This week's essential question for Unit 6, Week 1 is going to be, how have people used natural resources? And so basically, what is a natural resource? It's something that we have naturally on the earth, which could be water. It can also include oil, and it also can include bees. You're probably saying bees. What do you mean bees? Well, a beekeeper builds special hives, and these hives protect the bees. There's a queen bee that provides the environment for the bees alike. So in return, the bees pollinate local crops. And the honey that the bees produce is considered a commodity. And the beekeeper can sell that honey, and this effort of keeping the bees and keeping the hives is worth the beekeeper's while. It's worth their while. And this sets up and it fairly splits the distribution of work, and it rewards the bees as well as the beekeepers because the bees pollinate. So the hives that a beekeeper builds, on his honey farm, basically help our environment. The bees, they manufacture and they pollinate, which in turn we manufacture the honey, and it feeds our food supply. So the reward is the bees pollinate the local crops, and the keeper is rewarded with a valuable commodity to sell, like delicious honey. So basically, this is our essential question, is how have people used natural resources? So this week's comprehension strategy is to ask and answer questions, students. So as you're reading the complex sentences, you want to look for details and explanations for that. If you are confused, and you ask and answer the question, asking a question and using the text evidence that you have to answer that question, it will help you think more deeply about the text and more importantly about the information that you're going to be reading about later. So an active reader will preview a text before you read, and you ask questions about that text. Basically, it could be your vocabulary. It could be the highlighted words. It can also be the bold words on top of that introduce a paragraph. So you want to make sure that you scope and you scan the text prior to reading it, because this ask and answer question strategy will help you in your reading as you go through the passage. So asking and answering questions will help you make the connection between the characters, make the connection between the topic, and make the connection between the words and the vocabulary. So you always want to look for those clues. And this is our strategy that we'll be utilizing this week, students. Hello, students, again. This week's comprehension skill, as you all are very familiar with, is the main idea and key details. So a main idea, as you've been told before, is an important point that an author makes about a topic. It's a text as an overall main idea. Each paragraph or your section within a text will have a main idea. And in expository text, there are key details, and they help to support that main idea or explain part of the main idea. So to determine the main idea, You need to identify the details within that section and the text, and you need to ask, what do these details have in common for each paragraph? What do these details have in common? Then you need to ask, what is the connection between these ideas? What is the connection between the ideas and those key details? So identifying the main idea and the details that support it, they help you understand and recall the most important information. It's going to help you to determine what points to include when you summarize. So again, part of identifying the main idea is determining what information is not important, what is unimportant. So remember to exclude the unimportant information and to find the key details. And the key details will help explain your main idea. And you want to focus on the most important information in each paragraph. So remember, the most important point an author makes about a topic is the main idea. So when you're reading the expository text that you'll be reading with this particular reading this week, you'll be looking for key details in each paragraph or passage, and then you're going to think about what the details have in common, and you're going to infer the main idea. Thank you. So as you recall, students, a genre. This genre this week is expository text. And the expository text, as you're familiar with, is it presents information and explains ideas using factual details. Factual, okay? So expository text, it can include technical terms such as examples. You'll have diagrams, maps, pictures or photographs, and captions. This information, it provides additional information that's not included in the text sometimes, or the paragraphs. It'll be set aside. So it's very important that you read and you look at those visuals, because they'll help you to visually explain and compare and contrast the relationship between the pictures and the text. So it's important to look at the information because it might help you understand the text, especially if it's very complicated information for you. So take the time to look at the captions and the pictures and try to make the connection with that text. This is what we're working with this week, students. It's expository text. One particular story you're going to start on is called The Fortunes of Fragrance. That is expository text. I'm going to be asking you some specific questions about that particular passage.